The responsive web design series, Learning HTML by Building the Cat Photo app. Today is the last video. We're gonna start from step 61 to 71. Please consider subscribe to the channel, ring the bell notification. You already know. Let's go to the challenge. Step 61. Add a final checkbox after the previous one with the ID attribute value of energetic. The name attribute should be the same as the previous checkbox. Also add a label name to the right of the new checkbox with text energetic. Make sure to associate the label element with the new checkbox. So now for this challenge, we're gonna add another input. So with the type attribute checkbox. With the type attribute checkbox. Okay. So I'm gonna give it an ID of energetic. The ID should be energetic. Okay. And now I close the ID and I start the label element. The label element with the text energetic. Okay, so I close the label element. So now it says you need to give the ID attribute value energetic. The name attribute should be the same as the previous checkbox. That means the name attribute should be the same as the previous checkbox. So the name attribute is personality. So here I still need to write the name attribute, which is personality. Personality. Okay. So now for this one I supposed to put a for. The for attribute will be the same as the ID. So the ID is energetic. So I'm gonna put a for attribute on the label element to associate it with it. So I'm gonna do it. Okay. So now we're gonna check the code. Okay. Okay, now it's good. Step 62. Like radio button, form data for selected checkboxes are name, value, attribute pair, while the value attribute is optional. It's best practices to include it with any checkboxes or radio button on the page. Add a value attribute to each checkboxes. For convenience, set each checkbox's value attribute the same as the value of its ID attribute. So now I'm gonna put a value attribute for each of them as I do for the other input, the radio button. So I'm gonna add the ID here. The first value gonna be this value gonna be loving. So I supposed to put it this way, and the second one should be the value. Okay, the value lazy. So the other one, this should be the value. Okay, energetic. So okay, now I add value the same as the ID and I click it. Yes. Now challenge 63. In order to make the checkbox checked or radio button selected, by default you need to add checked attribute to it. Here's an example of radio button with checked attribute. So I see the radio button checked and this. Okay, there's no need to set a value to the checked attribute. Instead, just add the word checked and the input element. Make sure there is space between it to other attribute. Make the first radio button and the first checkbox checked. So now you can see the radio button and the radio button and the checkboxes. So I'm gonna make the first check. So in the radio button here, I can go here and write check. Okay, the first one check. So I can go here and add loving check. Okay, okay, so now it's good. The first of each one check. So now I check it. Okay, now challenge 64. The footer element is used to define a footer for a document or section. A footer typically contains information about the author of the document, copyright data, links to term of use, contact information, and more. Okay, so after the main element, add a footer element. So after the main element, add a footer element. So after the main element right here, okay, so I indented, so I'm gonna add the footer element. So the footer element should be this way, footer. Okay, so now when I check it, good. So step 65, nest the p element with the text no copyright and within the footer element. So within the footer element here, I supposed to write a p element with the text, so no copyright. Okay, freeCodeCamp. .org. Okay, so freeCodeCamp, all the C are capitalized, so I need to do that as well. Okay, copyright capitalized as well. So After that, turn the existing freecodecamp.org into a link by enclosing it with an anchor element. The href attribute should be this link. So the href attribute, so I just take the link right here, and after freecodecamp.org I'm gonna type the anchor attribute. Okay, so no, I don't need to close it right here. I'm gonna close it here. Okay, now I'm gonna write the href with the value of the link. Good. So now the free code can become a link. I can check it. Now it's good. Okay. Step 67. Notice that everything you've added to the page so far is inside the body element. All page content elements that should be rendered to the page go inside the body element. However, other important information goes inside the header element. The header element is used to contain meta about the document, such as its title, links to style sheets, and script. Meta tag is information about the page that isn't displayed directly on the page. Add the head element above the body element. So above the body element right here, so I can add a head element. So this is the head element here. Okay. Okay. Step 68. The title element determine what browser show in the title bar or tab for the page. Add the title element within the head element using the text below cat photo app. Now I'm gonna add a title element. Okay, inside the title element I'm gonna write the text cat photo app. Okay, so I check it, it's good. Now the step 69. Notice that the entire content of the page are nested within the HTML element. The HTML element is a root element of the HTML page and wrap all content on the page. You can also specify the language of the page by adding the link attribute to the HTML element. Add the link attribute to the value en to the opening HTML tag to specify that the language of the page is English. So I'm gonna add a link attribute right here with the link attribute with the value of en to say it's in English. Okay. Now the step step 70 says all pages should begin with doc type HTML. This special string is known as declaration and ensures the browser tries to meet industry-wide specification. Doctype HTML tells browser that the document is an HTML5 document, which is the latest version of HTML. Add the declaration as the first line of the code. So right here I can write the doctype doctype okay HTML. So to tell the browser this is HTML5. Okay, the doctype element. Now I check it. Now it's good. So the last step is step 71. You can set browser behavior by adding meta tag element in the head. Here's an example. Meta tag attribute value. Inside the head element, nest a meta element with the attribute of chart set to the value of UTF-8, which tell the browser how to encode characters for the page. Note that the meta attribute is a void element. With that last change, you have completed the cat photo app project. Congratulations. Okay, with this last change, so as the meta is the void element, so I'm gonna write it without the closing tag. Okay, inside of it I'm gonna put the char set. It's gonna be with the UTF-8. So as they told me here, char set UTF-8. Okay, for the encoding. So now with this you complete the cat photo app. So please consider subscribe to the channel, so ring the bell notification so you can still be notified whenever I release a new video. And now we're gonna start with the other project within the freeCodeCamp curriculum. Thank you very much for watching, and please consider subscribe to the channel and ring the bell notification. So now when I check it, okay, it's good. So now we complete the challenge. Okay.